Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt. We warmly welcome the family of Gunner Ronald Frederick Maskell, whose story will be told shortly by Vice Admiral Michael Noonan, Chief of Navy, who is Gunner Ronaldson Maskell's great-nephew. This evening's Last Post ceremony also marks one of the final duties in uniform for Vice Admiral Noonan, who is retiring following 38 years of service in the Royal Australian Navy. Vice Admiral Noonan joined the Royal Australian Naval College in 1984 and graduated in 1986 with a diploma in applied science. After gaining experience as a junior officer across the full range of naval operations, exercises and activities throughout his postings in HMA ships Stalwart, Bunbury, Swan, Brisbane, Perth and Canberra. Then Commander Noonan deployed in 2002 to the Middle East as the Chief of Staff in the Australian National Command Headquarters for Operation Slipper, Australia's response and commitment to coalition operations against terrorism. On return to Australia, he assumed command of the Anzac-class frigate HMAS Parramatta. Following promotion to captain in mid-2006, he was able to promote the well-being and professionalism of Navy's workforce as the Director of Sailors' Career Management during a period of considerable change within the Navy's personnel and career management policy and practices. This was followed by successive joint appointments in the Plans Directorate of Headquarters Joint Operations Command, a return operational deployment to the Middle East, and an appointment in the ADF's Military Strategic Commitments Branch. In June 2010, he was promoted to Commodore and appointed as the Director General of Operations in Headquarters Joint Operations Command. For exceptional performance in Joint Operations Command and Military Strategic Commitments Branch, he was appointed as a member of the Order of Australia in June 2012 and assumed the duties of Commodore training in September 2012. Following promotion to Rear Admiral in November 2013, he was appointed as Commander Border Protection Command, where he was responsible for ensuring the security of Australia's international maritime trade routes, shipping, maritime borders and maritime resources. In January 2016, Vice Admiral Noonan was appointed as the Deputy Chief of Navy and Head of Navy People, Training and Resources. He served in this role until March 2018. For his distinguished service as a Rear Admiral, in June 2018, he was elevated to an officer in the Order of Australia. Vice Admiral Noonan assumed command of the Royal Australian Navy on the 7th of July 2018. Sir, we thank you for your service and wish you the very best for your future endeavours. We are also honoured to acknowledge Commodore Humphrey Tawaki, Chief of Fiji Navy, and the accompanying delegation. Corporal Mark Donaldson, recipient of the Victoria Cross for Australia, and Ms. Angel Smith of Microsoft. Warrant Officer Deb Butterworth, Warrant Officer of the Navy. Mr. Roderick Martin, Managing Director of Go2 Health, and the delegation representing Legacy Youth. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those who are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. Australia's Federation Guard is the tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force. They provide a ceremonial presence at civil and military events and during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catapult party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Catapult party, attention! Catapult party, present arms!
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. Enjoy from strange land, let us sing. Advance Australia fair.
Catapult party, shoulder arms! Catapult party, order arms!
If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Gunner Ronald Frederick Maskell. Ronald Maskell was born on the 31st of March 1915 in Tatura, Victoria, the second of 6 sons born to Ernest and Mary Jane Maskell. After moving to Melbourne, the older boys attended Fairfield State School. Ron attended Orvale, then Keala State School, before leaving in 1929 to return to his home district. Not quite 14 years old, Ron took to farming life and for the next decade worked in the Shepparton area, where he was also employed at the SPC cannery. Ron Maskell enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 3rd of June 1940. By August, he had been posted to the 3rd Light Anti-Aircraft Regiment, then forming at Werribee. He remained there until the end of the year, when on the 29th of December, the unit embarked for overseas service aboard the former ocean liner Maturiana. 2 weeks later, they arrived at Colombo, where they transshipped to the troop ship Devonshire. Sailing through the Suez Canal, the ship disembarked their men at Haifa in Palestine on the 31st of January 1941. The 3rd Light Anti-Aircraft Regiment was initially stationed near Gaza, where it conducted further training. On the 5th of February, the men were visited by Prime Minister Menzies. Sergeant Hughes Hill said that after being made to stand for nearly 2 hours along the road, the boys were wild. The next day, one of the regiment's 3 batteries, the 8th, was sent to Tobruk to aid in the besieged garrison's defence. In early April, as the Allied Expeditionary Force arrived in Greece, the remainder of the 3rd Light Anti-Aircraft Regiment set out for Amia in Egypt, where the regimental headquarters would remain, along with the 9th Battery. The 7th Battery, to which Ron Maskell belonged, was destined for elsewhere. Originally intended to go to Greece, it quickly became clear the campaign there was doomed and that Allied troops would be evacuated. The 7th instead went to the island of Crete under the command of Major Hipworth. The men disembarked from Alexandria aboard the Ulster Prince on the 2nd of April. Arriving 2 days later, amid the chaos of troops evacuated from Greece, the battery was initially positioned near the main town of Hania. Some men helped out on the docks while others put up tents for an army hospital. At night, they camped among the olive groves. Expecting the Germans would soon try to capture Crete, some 48,000 Allied troops remained on the island to defend it. Anticipating an enemy air attack, the 7th Battery's complement of 16 Botha's anti-aircraft guns would be very valuable. At the end of April, headquarters, along with the majority of Bravo and Charlie troops, were moved east to Heraclion to defend the aerodrome. On the 4th of May, Gunner Ron Maskell's Alpha Troop was repositioned to defend Malami Airfield, just west of Hania. Before long, the Luftwaffe attacks commenced. Bombing and strafing increased over the next few weeks until the morning of the 20th of May, when all hell broke loose. Just before 7 a.m, each anti-aircraft gun was attacked by multiple dive bombers. Then came the gliders, followed by the paratroopers. Landing to the west of the Tarondius River, the enemy glider troops sought cover in the dry riverbed. Their mission was to seize control of the bridge, then capture the adjacent Malami Airfield, allowing them to bring in more troops. The attackers were from the elite German Airborne Assault Regiment. Their glider-borne troops had already suffered heavy casualties, but Major Braun and Oberlieutenant von Plassen rallied a group of survivors for the assault. A fierce battle took place on the airfield's western end of the Germans' stormed position held by New Zealand infantrymen. The Germans were only a few yards away, hurling grenades into the main trench near the Beaufort's gun. The Australian anti-aircraft gunners, including Ron Maskell, joined their fellow Anzacs and fought it out. But soon they were overwhelmed. Their position was taken and all but one were killed. Among the dead was Ronald Maskell. With the airfield captured, Crete was lost and the Allied survivors were evacuated by the end of May. The 7th Battery had suffered heavily. Only 71 men got away. Nearly 200 had become casualties, 50 were dead, the rest were hiding on Crete or had been taken prisoner. Ron Maskell's body was not recovered from the battlefield, and today he is commemorated on the memorial at Phaleron War Cemetery in Athens. He was just 26 years of age. His name is listed on the roll of honour to my left amongst the almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Gunner Ronald Frederick Maskell, who gave up his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Catapult party, shoulder, arms.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. In the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Catapult party, present, arms. Catapult party, shoulder, arms.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Catapult party, inward turn. Catapult party, quick march.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.